everyone, it's Hannah from Hand Gem Crochet, and today we are making the Deidra Blanket together. Now it's a really stunning, modern yet classic looking crochet blanket that's absolutely suitable for anyone in your life. It's a lovely, easy throw to make for home decor as a gift or for yourself to keep. Now it uses just beginner stitches, but we use them in short rows to create this kind of S or Z kind of shape that gives us this faux cable stitch here. And once you get the knack of it, it's really simple to do. In the description below, I'll add all the details of where you can find the pattern, and the written pattern is sized in 15 different sizes, so you can make absolutely any size of blanket that you would like to. And today we're going to be making the Lovey size, so the smallest size that's perfect for a little baby. Now to make the blanket, I chose to use Herrschners worsted 8 yarn, which is a lovely 100% acrylic. It's got a nice bit of fuzz to it, so it's a nice soft blanket when it's created. As I said, it's 100% acrylic, and we get a huge amount of yardage on our balls here, and it's a category 4 medium weight yarn. Along with your yarn, you're going to need a 5.5mm crochet hook or the hook that matches the gauge for you, and then a pair of scissors and a needle for your ends. So go grab your supplies and then let's get making. So to begin all of our blankets, we're going to need to put a slip knot on the hook, and then you're going to need to chain out the number that it tells you for your size in the written pattern. So for the Loveys, the small Lovey size that we're making today, I need to chain 37. Okay, so now we have the number of chains that we need. We need to start working back along those chains, and I'm going to start working in the back bumps, and we're going to work a yarn over slip stitch in the back bump of the second chain from the hook and each. So that was a lot of information there. So a yarn over slip stitch, so we're going to yarn over and we're going to go into the second chain from the hook that is just there. Then you're going to yarn over and then you're going to pull through everything. So through that loop and then through the loops you have there. So yarn over, go into that back bump, yarn over and pull through everything. Now with my yarn over slip stitches, I find that if you go through and pull through from the back here like that, they come through much easier than if you try from the front, as in you would conventionally. So this is from the front and there isn't much space there to pull that through, whereas if you rotate to the back and pull it through, let me show you again, that is much easier. So yarn over and pull through everything, twisting there to the back, and we just need to work one of those in each of our chains. There we have the end of row 1. Now row 2 is where the fun begins. So we're going to turn, and this is where we're going to start working these faux cable stitches that we have. Now either side of your blanket we need to have 6 stitches at the beginning and 6 stitches at the end that are going to be our side borders. So our first 6 stitches and our last 6 stitches are always going to be, after we chain 1, a half double crochet in the back loop only. So we're going to turn so that we can see the top of our stitch here, and I'm going to go into the back loop only here, and I'm going to work a half double crochet there. And so we do 6 of those. So that's 1 done, that's 2, here's 3, 4, 5, and then 6. So now up until our last 6 stitches, we're now ready to work this faux cable stitch, and each of those are done in sets of 6 stitches. And the way that we do that is we're going to go do some more half double crochets in our back loops. We're going to do 5 of them. So we begin with 1, 2, that's 3, 4, and then 5. Then when you've done those 5 half double crochets, we're actually going to turn our work, and with the work turned, we are going to work more half double crochets, but we're actually going to skip this next stitch and we're going to work into 1, 2, 3 and 4. So these are the 5 that we just made that we've said are part of this set of 6 that we're going to create. We're going to skip that first one and then we're going to work into the 3rd loop only, which is this loop that we have here. So 1, 2, 3 and 4 of those. So skip that first stitch, and then work a half double crochet into the third loop of the next 4. So there's 1, that's 2, 3, and oops, nearly 4. Then we're ready to turn again, and now we're going to chain 1, and in those 4 stitches that we just made, we're going to work a half double crochet in the back loop only of them. So we're going to go 1, 2, there's 3, and 4. Now what we need to do is we need to travel to get down back to here to complete our set of 6 stitches. We've done 5 so far, and we need to complete and get 6 in. So what we're going to do is we're going to half double crochet in the side of this stitch that we have here. So we're literally going to split that stitch open, and we're going to work a half double crochet into the side of it there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to half double crochet 2 together in the stitch that's already attached there, that if you give it a wriggle, we've already worked a stitch into there, and the back loop only of the next one. So we're going to start a half double crochet in there, and then we'll start a half double crochet in the next one, and then we'll yarn over and we'll pull through all of them. And that is our first faux cable section completed. And now continuing on, it's very similar, but not quite the same. So there's one change that we now need to make sure that we can repeat it all the way across. And I'll show you how we do that. So we start the same. We're going to half double crochet in the back loop only of 5. Then when you've done those 5, we're going to turn. And if you remember, we ignored that first stitch, we skipped the first stitch, and then we're going to 1, 2, 3, 4, half double crochet in those 4 in the third loop only. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now here is where the difference is. We're now going to slip stitch into the third loop only of the next stitch, and that helps us to anchor it to the last part of the row that we've got there. Now we're ready to turn, and we carry on in the same way, except you're going to ignore that slip stitch we've just done, and you're just going to work a half double crochet in the back loop only of those 4 that we made. There's 1, 2, 3, and oh, she says 4. And then we're back to going into the side of this stitch. So that makes our number 5, and then we half double crochet 2 together over the one that's attached, and then the next one we have here. So half double crochet 2 together, just like that. And now we just need to keep repeating that up until we have 6 stitches left at the end of the row. And then in these last 6 stitches, we're going to work a half double crochet in the back loop only of each of them. And then we have row 2 completed. We're now ready to turn to work row 3. And to start row 3, you're going to chain 1, and then we work a half double crochet in the back loop only of 6. And remember, that's our side border section that we have there. And now we come across our sets of 6 stitches that we have for our faux cables here. And the way we're going to work these is that we're going to work a half double crochet in the third loop only of the next stitch. So remember, that's our loop that comes right at the front of us here. So a half double crochet in that one. And then we're going to work a yarn over slip stitch in the third loop only of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the rest of the stitches in those sets gets a yarn over slip stitch, and all in that third loop only. And then we carry on along. We're going to work a half double crochet in the third loop of the next one, and then a yarn over slip stitch in the third loop of the next 5. And then when we've run out of our faux cable stitches, we should have our 6 stitches left at the end here. And in order to get down to them, we're going to need to do a half double crochet 2 together in the side of this stitch of this first faux cable, and then the back loop only of that first stitch that we have there. So we yarn over and we start a half double crochet in the side of that stitch that we have there, and then we yarn over and then we start another half double crochet in the back loop only of that stitch that we have there. So that will be the first of the 6 stitches that we have at the end. And then we're going to work a half double crochet in the back loop of the remaining stitches. And then that's row 3 complete. We're now going to turn our work, and for row 4 it's lovely and straightforward. We're going to chain 1 and then we're just going to do a half double crochet in the back loop only of each of our stitches all the way across. And so that's the end of row 4, and we're going to turn, and to begin row 5 we're going to just work, when I can get hold of the yarn, we're going to chain 1 and then I'm going to yarn over slip stitch in the back loop only of each across. So just go into that back loop, remember that twisting, just see if that helps you. It may not, but if it does, happy days, hey. And that's the end of row 5. Now we turn our work, and row 6 and row 7, now all we need to do is repeat what we've just done for rows 4 and rows 5. So we need to do another row of half double crochet in the back loop only on this row, and then we turn and we do another row of yarn over slip stitch in the back loop only for our row 7. And then once you've done that, you know everything that you now need to know to repeat all the way up the length of the blanket. So in the pattern, you will see that you need to repeat it a set amount of times for each of the different sizes that I have calculated. So do that, and then at the end, you'll see there are final 2 rows, because we then need to repeat rows 2 and rows 3 just to finish us off before we are then going to add the top border. So go ahead and work the repeats that you need to do now of this stitch, and then meet me back when you're ready to put the top border on. Okay, so I've worked all the rows that I need to for this size that I'm making, and I have finished here on a repeat of row 3. So I've done a faux cable stitch and then row 3, and now I've turned. And now what we're going to do is we're going to be working this border in a join as you go method. So we're going to go up and down, and we're going to join to all the stitches that we have along the top here. And then once we've done that, we'll break our yarn and we'll repeat the process across the bottom here. So in order to do that, we're going to begin by chaining 7. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to swivel so that I can start working into those chains. And I'm going to, from the second chain in the hook, I'm going to work a yarn over slip stitch. There's 1, and then I'm going to do them all the way along until I've run out of chains. 2, 3, that's 4, nearly, no, 5, and that's 6. And now we're attached to this first stitch that we have here. But now what we're actually going to do is we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch along the row that we have here. And now I'm going to turn so that I can now work back along these stitches that I have just made here of these 6. So now I'm going to work a yarn over slip stitch in the back loop only of each of these. And I will say it's very fiddly when you start off on these borders because you don't have much to hold on to. And then when you've done that, you're going to turn Now, if you're working a whole great big blanket on your lap, you'll probably just turn the actual border and not the actual blanket, because you'll be heavyweight lifting if you try and do that. Then we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to work a yarn over slip stitch in the back loop only of each of these. So that's 6 again. 1, 2, 3, there's 4, 5, and 6. And now once we get back to our final row each time now, we're going to slip stitch in 2. So I've got 1 to slip stitch in there, and then there's 2. And now we're ready to turn, and we're going to work a yarn over slip stitch in the back loop only of each of these 6 stitches along. And then we turn, and you chain 1, and then again we just repeat the process. We yarn over slip stitch in the back loop only of each of these along. And then again, when you get back down to those stitches of the last row, you're going to slip stitch in the next 2, and then you'll turn and you'll carry on. And that's all we need to do to work this top border. You're going to carry on. So I've come back here now, so we're going to slip stitch in 2 and then turn, and so on. So we carry on working in this join as you go method, back and forth up until we complete all of our stitches. And then when you've done that, you can break your yarn and then meet me back here, and we'll do exactly the same process here at the bottom of the blanket. So when you have completed that top border, we are going to swivel ourselves around so that then we can join to what was our first row of the whole thing and repeat that exact process that we just did. So the only difference is that we need to join the yarn rather than continue as we did before. So we've joined our yarn, and then we're going to chain 7, and then we just do exactly what we did. We're going to yarn over slip stitch in the second chain from the hook and each of them along. And then remember, the first time we arrive back here, we're already joined to that first stitch, so we're just going to slip stitch in the next stitch, just 1 this time. But then each time we get back to that again, we're going to slip stitch in 2. So now we're going to yarn over slip stitch in the back loop only of those 6 stitches. And then we're ready to turn and chain 1, yarn over slip stitch in the back loop only of our 6 stitches. And then we're going to slip stitch in the next 2. And then we'll just continue that all the way along until again we've used up all the stitches, all the stitches there in our first row. So carry on all the way along here, and then when you've finished that, you'll be able to break your yarn and weave in your ends. I really hope you've enjoyed making this modern crochet blanket with me. I would absolutely love to see your versions and the colours you choose and the size that you make. So do come and find me. I'm Hanjan Crochet in all the places you'd expect me to be on social media, and I will see you again soon.